Well, I realized that at a certain point in my teaching career, that to continue with that, I needed to write a book, because professors have to write books. And to move to a better job in teaching, I needed to write a book. So I looked at all the books that were out there on screenwriting, and I noticed there was not a book about rewriting. And I had been giving a class on rewriting, and one of my students at UCLA said, you should write a book about rewriting, because there is no book about rewriting. And I said, you're right, there isn't a book. And he said, you've got the outline already, because the course that you've been teaching is the book. So I wrote some notes, and I looked in bookstores, and there wasn't Amazon at that time, and I looked around and talked to people, and there was no book on rewriting. And I said, okay, I'm going to call my book Rewrite, like McKee calls his book Story. I want to be very specific so that people understand from the title of the book what I'm talking about. So I wrote the book, or I wrote actually an outline for the book, and then I started looking at publishers, and I wrote a note to the publisher of Michael Wiese Productions, the guy that heads their publishing, and he said, that sounds interesting, but what if you did this and that and the other thing? So I reconfigured my chapters and the outline, and he said, okay, let's do that. And that's how I wrote that book. Now, on the basis of that book, I was still teaching at UCLA Extension and UCLA Professional Program and the UCLA MFA program. And somebody saw the book, I'll say somebody, Will Smith saw the book, and he wrote a note, or his company wrote a note to the UCLA Extension and said, I want to talk to Paul. And I got a note from UCLA Extension that said, Will Smith wants to talk to you. I said, what? Okay. What about? About your book. So I called up his company, and they said, yes, he wants to talk to you. We'll tell him, can you come for breakfast at his house? And I said, sure. Okay, why not? So I drove out to his house, which is way out in Agora. I won't tell you where exactly, but he's got a compound. It's a huge place. There were gates, there were guards at the gate, and I went to his house, and I had breakfast with Will Smith and his brother-in-law and somebody else that worked in his company, because they had a script that they wanted to rewrite. And so I read that script, and that's how I started doing consulting. Was people got to know my book. They said, okay, he's a person that we want to talk to do a rewrite. So I'm not a script doctor, although I could, but I help people do their rewrites.